everybody. It's great to see so many of you here this morning at this Wired Sussex Breakfast Session on telling your brand story. Jasmine said I'm Alison Sharpe, and I run my own independent communications consultancy, helping organisations build trust and purpose, essentially. So, but I wanted to kick off this morning's session with a bit of an exercise, if I may, just to sort of warm us all up a bit. I'm just going to ask you a series of questions, but I don't want you to be sort of answering them directly to me. Just have a think about what I'm asking, and just a show of hands, really. So the first question I just want to ask you is, how many of you are clear about what your organisations do? We have a show of hands. How many of you are absolutely clear in your minds what your organisations does? Okay, so that's the vast majority of you. Thank you. And then the second question just want to ask you is, how many of you are clear about how your organisation does what it does? How it does it. Okay, so not as many, but still reasonably comfortable. And then the third question I wanted to ask you was, how many of you are really clear about and can clearly articulate why your organisation does what it does? Okay, that's good. That's what I expected. So I just want to explain now why I've asked you those series of questions in the context of telling a brand story. So some of you may have heard of somebody called Simon Sinek, and in his book, he's an author and a consultant, he's written a book called Starting with Why. And in his book he says that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do what you do. And he goes on to say that everyone knows, every company knows what they do. We saw the show of hands there this morning. We all know what our organisations do, whether we're an employee or whether we're an owner of that business. We know what their products are, we know what their services are, we know what their competitors are, we know what the market is. So we know what those companies do. Some also know how they do it, how they differentiate themselves, their value propositions and their values. But few organisations, he goes on to say, know why their organisations do what they do, their purpose, their beliefs. And the why is these organisations' reason for being, and he advocates that we should all be starting with why. And a good example he uses is Apple. Is it a computer company? Is it a consumer electronics company? Is it a smartphone company? All key manifestations of its what, they're all very different. And they sound quite disparate. But Apple don't start with the what, they don't start telling us about what they do. They start with the why, and their why is about thinking different. So, and that's something that millions of consumers identify with. Many of us turn to branding to tell our stories, our organisational stories to the outside world. The question is, what stories are we telling, and are they resonating today? So we've covered that. Now 10 years ago saw the global financial crisis, the 2008 global financial crisis, and alongside that, the economic hardship that followed. And that had a profound effect on society and the way society views the role of business today. It damaged trust in business, reset the way that many people think about business and the motivations of business. So today, many people, and research shows this, that many people believe business, the purpose of business is to make money, with little or no consideration for its wider impacts on society. But business's role is crucial. It is the wealth engine that drives or funds all aspects of society, and I think I'm right in saying that without business, not a single pound of tax is paid. So how can we build trust in business and organisations of all kinds? I think what's needed is a new relationship between business and wider society, a shared sense of purpose, so the real reason why business exists. Organisations need to show that they care for people and that they benefit society, and these issues are at the top of the agenda right now for organisations. It's no longer enough for brands to be good at what they do. Consumers and employers care about why they do what they do. They are buying into brands that act responsibly, that care for them, that treat them fairly, that benefit them and act in their best interests. So in developing this new sense of purpose, brands will need to reassess almost everything they've previously taken for granted. They need to have a long, hard look at themselves and ask them whether they are being true to their purpose. And is it being delivered at every touch point? Those that make this leap forward can expect to enjoy an enhanced reputation as a force for good, the ability to attract, motivate and retain the best people, positive and fruitful relationships with their customers, and what's more, employees that buy into the purpose of your organisation are a powerful force in driving it forward. So today I believe that effective brands place a central focus on purpose, and in making sure that that purpose permeates the entire organisation. Effective brand storytellers, sorry, I pushed the back button. Effective brand storytellers focus on communicating that purpose and making sure that it is being delivered at every opportunity, inside and outside the organisation. So, while purpose is relatively easy to articulate, it can be much harder to put into effect. The journey to purpose is evolutionary. It's not a strapline or an enthusiastic campaign. It's about fundamentally transforming a business. And this is a framework that I use to help guide clients in being a more purpose-led organisation. So, as we've touched on, a business must first understand why it does what it does in today's context. How is it seen? What are its core beliefs? And I use the term rediscover rather than just discover, because oftentimes purpose is inherent, it's there. It's just sometimes been lost or forgotten at some stage. And at the end of this stage, you'll be in a position to clearly articulate what your organisation stands for. And provide a unifying statement that helps to guide an organisation's actions and decisions. And that's different from a strapline. The next stage is what I call animate. Does your business have a clear plan to bring its purpose to life? To deliver on its purpose? How will purpose live and breathe within your organisation? Throughout its culture, its actions, its decisions, its behaviours, its operations. There has been a lot of purpose washing, but purpose absolutely needs to permeate the organisation. This has to be front and centre. And thirdly, engagement, and this really is where brand storytelling really comes into its own. How often, in what ways, does your organisation engage with your key stakeholders, those relationships that matter to you around your purpose? Brands must show a clear connection and must resonate with those people that matter to you. And fourth, impact. What difference are you making? Does your organisation measure the effects of delivering on its purpose and use that data to change the path it's on if appropriate? That's why it's sort of a cycle. So the journey towards purpose is an evolutionary one. Brand purpose should convey the real reason an organisation exists. Isn't a campaign or a strapline, but should be authentic, genuine and values-driven. Now I'll just sort of draw this part of this morning to a close by just relaying a story which often comes up when talking about purpose. And it's when President John F. Kennedy visited NASA headquarters in 1961. He was introduced to a janitor, and he asked the janitor, "What do you do?" And the janitor quite simply responded, "I'm here to put a man on the moon." So he understood the organisation's purpose, and importantly, his part in delivering that purpose. Demonstrating that kind of understanding through honest, engaging stories builds communities and builds trust. So the message from me is clear, I hope. Now is the time for businesses and organisations to place a central focus on purpose, to become much more purpose-driven, and help create a society that works for everyone. This is what lies at the heart of every successful brand today, and is what we as brand storytellers need to focus on. And I just want to leave you with a wonderful quote that I think underpins the role we can all play in making that happen. Thank you.